What is going on YouTube? Taylor here from OA Cheddar, and in this video I'm going to be going over everything you need to know about Keepa without any of the fluff. This is primarily going to be for those who are just getting into sourcing products for online arbitrage, or who maybe they've been selling on Amazon for a while and they're just kind of looking for some insights on how to quickly analyze a product, decide whether or not it's profitable, and move on to the next product. A little bit about myself. I have been selling on Amazon for about 8 years alongside with my brother, who has been selling on Amazon for 13 years. I actually do all of the sourcing for our OA business. We started off as retail arbitrage sellers, moved into OA back in 2020. We currently are doing about 2.8 million last year in sales. So I analyze a ton of products. I have looked at, probably safe to say, hundreds of thousands of Keepa graphs in the last 8 years. I've gotten very good at finding a product, looking at it, analyzing it, and either deciding whether or not it's a yes to purchase or if it is a no. So let me just tell you how I do that with Keepa. First off, let me show you how I set up my graph. I like to keep my graph pretty simple, so I will always have the buy box slot turned on. Buy box is going to show you the buy box price. What price is getting the actual buy box inside of Amazon. Hey guys, real quick, I just wanted to hop out and let you know that if you are in the need of some online arbitrage leads to help your sourcing day, whether it's a starting off point or if you're just looking for a list of products that you can purchase that are going to be profitable and work for your Amazon business, check us out at oacheddar.com. We've been serving the Amazon community since 2018. We have helped hundreds, if not thousands, of sellers increase their businesses, increase their profits over the last 6 years. So check us out below. And right now, guys, if you use the promo code YouTube30 at checkout, you will receive 30% off your first month subscription on one or multiple lists. That again is YouTube30 at checkout. Go to oacheddar.com. All right, back to the video. Normally we'll also have Amazon turned on because I want to be aware if Amazon is selling on the listing or has historically sold on the listing. I keep the new price on, but I will tell you it is not that important to me. The ones that are important to me are the third-party FBA price, which is going to be represented as a little red triangle, and the third-party FBM price, which is going to be represented as a blue square. These are the prices that I'm actually competing against outside of Amazon. So the new price, all it's going to tell me is what the lowest new price is without shipping. These are normally going to be from FBM sellers, but the FBM little blue squares will actually tell you what the price is with their shipping included, which is actually the price that you're going to be competing against, not the new price. I don't mess with lightning deals, list price, eBay, or eBay new or used. That is not the game I'm playing in, so I just usually leave those turned off. Sales rank is obviously always turned on. Sales rank is going to be how you understand the velocity in which these products sell on Amazon. The lower the rank, the better. You can have your graph set up to where the rank goes from lowest to highest. I like to keep mine as highest to lowest, so I'm looking for sales rank drops instead of them spiking up. Now, this middle section is going to tell you more about sales ranks in the subcategories. It's not really that important to me. I usually don't even mess with any of these settings. I'm mostly looking at this top graph, and I'm looking at this lower section below. In the lower section, we have review count. I think that's an important one to have turned on. The number of reviews that a product has as it grows helps give you an indication that the product is selling and how quickly it's selling. I don't always have this turned on. If I'm being honest, I usually look at sales rank mostly, but reviews is a good one to have on. Ratings doesn't mean much of anything to me. I usually just leave that turned off. Again, I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if you disagree with me. New offer count is going to show you how many offers are selling this product at any given moment. So when you see movement like this, that's always a great sign, especially if you are looking at a product that is a variation. And what I mean by that is we are on a single Amazon listing and there are multiple products being available for this Amazon listing. There's also 2 different sizes, but you also have all these different shades in color. Why is that important? Because the sales rank data that you're looking at, this green line, it is moving based off of how all those variations are selling on this one Amazon listing. So you could be seeing a product that looks like it's selling fast because the sales rank is moving quickly, but in reality, that particular variation could be very slow selling. So don't fall for the trap of a fast moving sales rank line. You want to look at other indicators like the offer count movement, and then another one that I'll show you here in a little bit. So when I'm looking at a Keepa graph, I am usually looking at the 3-month graph. You can change this in the settings, right? If you go to your settings, you can actually say, hey, by default, I want you to open up to the 3-month, or I want you to open up to the year. I don't recommend a month, a week, a day. It's just too small of time frames to really judge an item. And I don't recommend doing the all, because you might be looking at a graph like this that trails all the way back to 2018 to now, which is 2025. So either a year or a 3-month, there's benefits to both, guys. If you're looking at a 3-month, it's going to show you, here's what the history looks like in the last 3 months. So it's, the most relative data that to go off of. But having your graph open up by default to a year can also be super helpful. One, it will show you products that might spike during the Christmas season, which is always super important to be aware of. If you have an item that, sells okay during the year, but in Christmas time just goes bananas, you're going to want to know about that while you're sourcing, especially if you want to save those leads in some sort of database, which, by the way, if you do, I recommend getting on CheddarSoft. CheddarSoft is a lead and order management tool. We built it here at OA Cheddar. I use it to run my entire business on. It's fantastic. It saves us a ton of time. It helps us stay organized with our leads, allows us to quickly make buy lists, place and record orders. So that way we have a good record of everything we purchase. Okay, shameless plug over. So now getting into this, I usually keep the 3-month. Me personally, I keep the 3-month. My brother Grant, he likes to have the year open. I toggle back and forth. So whenever I'm analyzing a product, I'll look at the 3-month. I'll always look at the year. And then sometimes I'll look at the all time too, especially if I'm looking at a seasonal type item and I want to see, does it spike? Does it sell well every Christmas? And does it sell every Easter? Looking at the all time will help kind of point that out to you. So when I'm looking at the 3-month or the year, what I'm really looking for is price consistency. Okay. Now for this example, let's just say, and this is just a random item that I grabbed, say I'm buying it for $6.99. Well, at a $19 selling price, I'm making a $5, roughly around $5 net profit and a 77% ROI. That's fantastic, especially for an item like this that is pretty small. I actually see the dimensions here are 5 inches by 5 inches. So it's a small little makeup palette. Really easy to pack. You can pack a ton of them into a box. So, making, $3 to $5 on this I'll do that all day. So I'm looking at price consistency, and I can see here that the price does fluctuate a little bit. I'm going to grab this, and this is a little trick that, honestly took me too long to figure out on Keepa. I'm going to just click and drag, and I'm going to highlight and zoom in on certain sections. And I can see here, today is March 27th. And I can see here that, around the end of February and the beginning of March, that the buy box was actually following the FBM price, because the FBM price was priced a good chunk lower than the FBA. So it was actually selling around $16. What does that mean for me? Well, I'm going to go plug in and see, well, at $16, I'm only making $2.81, a 40% ROI. Not a deal breaker for a product like this, because it is small and something that I should be able to, one, sell quickly, but also be very easy and cheap to prep and pack and ship into Amazon. So don't hate on these small net profit items. If you're looking at a small item, a small net profit is definitely great. And it's just one more sale that you are making on Amazon, which is always a good thing, especially if you're trying to get ungated. So zooming in and seeing that price kind of fluctuate a little bit, helps me understand what could I sell this for? And I can see that, based on the last 3 months, best case scenario, I sell this around $20. Worst case scenario, I could sell it around 16 or so. Let me zoom out to the year and look at what this might look like if I wanted to buy a bunch of these and something I want to keep in my store for a long period of time. And when I zoom out into the year, I can see a kind of a different story. I see that Amazon was in stock on this item for a good chunk of time. So that is usually something that would cause me to have a little bit of caution, right? If I have the ability to buy, 50, 60, 100 units of this product, And I looked at it and see that in the last year, and if I zoom out to the all time, that Amazon has been on this listing for a good chunk of it, if not most of its life. That might give me pause, and maybe instead of going super deep, I might be a little bit more conservative with my order amount. And in the last year, you can see that Amazon was in stock on this, and Amazon's price, during that time was around $12 or so dollars, right? So if I go to my little handy dandy profit calculator, a $12 selling price is actually going to be a net loss for me. So I definitely don't want to be around if Amazon jumps back in on this listing. But I can see that Amazon, started to go out of stock last year in September. So about, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, and has had a hard time staying in stock during this last branch of time. So to me, normally on a product like this, I would be a little conservative. Now I like to go super wide and shallow with my purchasing, meaning that I buy a ton of SKUs and I don't go very deep on any of those SKUs. I like to test a ton of items at once. And then when I find winners, I want to replenish those. And if I'm replenishing them, I try to buy more depending on how my store actually sold the product, not based off of what Keepa is telling me. And actually, guys, this actually brings me to a really good point. Keepa data is not perfect. It is not 100%. On an item like this that has a super low rank, you're talking about, let's just look down here at the statistics, and the statistics can be found in the bottom left section of the Keepa graph. In the last year, this item has averaged a 6,000 rank in the beauty and personal care. That is a super low rank, meaning that this item is very popular. And because this item is very popular, Keepa has a lot of data on it. The slower an item sells, or the higher rank that an item is, Keepa doesn't always grab data, quickly enough, right? The way Keepa works is you download this extension, and when you open up an Amazon listing, it's scraping the Amazon information and it's collecting that data. So if you have an item that not a lot of people click on and open up, it might not have, data consistent all the time, right? It might have gaps in its data. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's not selling decently well or okay enough to maybe make a purchase. I actually buy a lot of stuff that is higher ranking, and that a lot of people would probably think, oh, that's too slow selling. And I'm telling you, depending on how your store performs on Amazon, those actually could be sneaky great items to purchase, and your competition is usually less. So take that little nugget for what it is. But moving back into my point here is, when I'm looking at price consistency, I like to look at the history. Okay, what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario is Amazon jumps on this listing, drives the price down, and I'm actually going to lose money on this. Best case scenario is I can, get my a quick flip off on this product, and I could, make a profit, be in and out like a little bandit, and be good to go. So for something like this, I don't want to say like how many that I would purchase on this, just because for everyone, their business is a little different. But I wouldn't be afraid to buy, an okay amount of this, right? Again, I like to test items before going super deep into them. So I might buy a handful of these units, and a handful could be anywhere from 5 to 20. And I would put these in my store. I would get these selling. And then if I sold those quickly enough, I might go back and replenish that item if I can. I might have to wait for another sales cycle to happen to do that, but I'd rather be cautious with this. Plus, when you go wide and shallow with your purchasing, if something happens to this listing, I don't have so much of my capital, invested into it that it could shut my business down. So that's, to me, the safest approach that I've learned is to go wide and shallow with my purchases. So looking at this product again, I look for consistency. Now, because it's a variation, here's something that I do on every variation lead that I'm looking at. I look at one offer count movement. Okay, that's that blue line down in the bottom section. I'm looking for up and down movement. I want to see new offers coming and going, right? That's telling me that people are bringing their inventory to Amazon, they're selling out, and then they're falling off the listing. That's showing me that there are sales happening. Another way that I like to look at this data is by going to the data tab, and I'll go to offers. Okay, this is going to show me the offers that have been on this listing and their stock history. Again, Keepa's data is not perfect. So I've even looked at my own account and seen how it tracks it. It's pretty close, but it's not perfect. So I take this all with a grain of salt. And what I'm looking for here is I'm looking at the stock history of these other sellers. And what I see on this listing is exactly what I want to see. Natural movement. Okay. This seller had 249 units, and you can see that they just slowly kept selling off their inventory to now where they're at, where they're about 77 units or so. Right. They are selling this very quickly, right? This all happened within about a month's worth of time that they came in with all this inventory and have dropped down. So that gives me even more information to go off of, which is like, hey, maybe buying, 20 of these might be a little too low. If I have a supplier that I can, order a ton from, maybe I should go a little bit deeper with this, right? I see the second offer here also selling very well. Okay. Their products. Same here. It's natural stair-stepping movement. What I don't want to see is something kind of like this. I'm going to zoom in again. I can just drag and drop and zoom in. You have a seller here that has 100 stock, and then in a single moment, they drop down to 3. That to me is not an indicator of real sales. Okay. Something happened here, right? Amazon had, said, hey, they have 100 units. I can see that they are a prime seller. I'm not sure if they're FBA, because I have my FBA only box checked. And maybe they transferred these units out, right? Maybe Amazon, accidentally said they have 100 units when really they don't, or they sent in 100 and then Amazon took the 100 and are now sending it out to all these different prep centers across the country. When I see a straight line drop like this, I do not count that as natural sales. I count that as something else, but it's not sales. So that's something I look for. But what I'm just looking for is confirmation that people are naturally selling this. It's looking good. Now, when you come to the offers tab, there's a few things that you're going to want to check. By default, it's going to show you this information without the historical offers, without Prime or without FBA only checked. I always check the box that says include historical offers. Just because if somebody recently sold out, it's going to show me that information. If I don't have this box checked, it's only going to show me the ones that are in stock. So that is something that is very important to me. The next thing that you might want to check too is I want to look at only Prime offers or only FBA only. Sometimes with merchant fulfill listings, it's really deceiving what it looks like they are selling. And you also don't know if they're selling, their inventory is selling not only on Amazon, but on Walmart and on eBay and wherever else, in their own store itself, if it's an actual business that has a brick and mortar. So I will usually sometimes flip these switches on if I really need extra confirmation about our FBA sellers making sales on this. So that is the data and the offers. Usually at that point, I've already made my decision on whether or not I want to buy this product and I move on to the next one. But if you want to be a stud, you can look at the variations tab. Now, variations is going to show you the variations that are on the listing and how they're performing. One thing I like to do is I like to come in here and I'll organize based off of the buy box price. And just so you know, guys, you can configure your columns however you want. So you can select on what gets shown, and then, you can actually drag and move these around however you see fit. So I like the way I have mine set up, which is usually showing the buy box price, the new price, the size or, multi-pack version of it. And then the buy box, and then the historical new price and the historical offer count. So at a glance, I can tell you that, for example, this one right here, even though, and let's just reorganize this to the highest one. If I look at this top offer, even though it's selling at $22.95 in the last 90 days, because that's what it's showing me by default, right? In the last 90 days, this item was actually selling for around $16, $13. So not as sexy as the one that we are looking at, which is actually this listing right here, where you have that consistency. This product catches my attention because in the last 90 days, it was also selling around $20 and might be worth looking at. And what I would do is I would just, hold down Command or Control, click on it, open it up in a different tab, and I would do my own examination on this product listing, just like I'm doing on this. So the variations tab is great for rabbit trailing. It can open you up to multiple products off of one single lead that you get. Makes it really easy. So I like to do that. The little trophies you can see here that gets awarded to, this is going to the one that has a rating. So when we're talking about ratings, ratings is helpful when you're looking at variations because it will tell you which item is getting the most ratings. And the listing that we're looking at is actually the top rated. It's actually getting 84% of the rating. So this is the top performing variation on this listing. So, looking at this product, as I do a little bit deeper dive into the data and I see stock movement and I see that it's the top performing variation on this, when I'm thinking about how many I want to purchase of this, my brain is automatically thinking like, hey, this might be something you might want to go deeper on. Even though Amazon has been in stock historically on this listing is selling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times a month. So, if I were to buy something like 50 or 60 of this item, at a $7 buy cost, like there's a good chance I'll probably sell out within a month easily, probably. Now, again, every Amazon account is a little bit different. My account is pretty well aged. We have lots of feedback scores. And we normally, have a great prep center that sends out strategically to, a number of different prep centers. So going deeper for us, could look a lot different than if you were a brand new seller. If you're a newer seller, I don't recommend going super deep on items just because one listing failing could, cause your business to come to a screeching halt. So I think practicing conservatism and spreading yourself out wide and shallow is the best approach. But hey, that's just my opinion. Again, comment below if you disagree with me. Other than that, guys, that wraps up for this video on everything you need to know about Keepa and without any of the fluff. Let me know what you think. If you disagree with me, again, comment below. If you like this information, subscribe to the channel and we'll make more content for you. All right. Talk to you later. Hey guys, real quick, I just wanted to hop out and let you know that if you are in the need of some online arbitrage leads to help your sourcing day, whether it's a starting off point or if you're just looking for a list of products that you can purchase that are going to be profitable and work for your Amazon business, check us out at oacheddar.com. We've been serving the Amazon community since 2018. We have helped hundreds, if not thousands of sellers increase their businesses, increase their profits over the last 6 years. So check us out below. And right now, guys, if you use the promo code YouTube30 at checkout, you will receive 30% off your first month subscription on one or multiple lists. That again is YouTube30 at checkout. Go to oacheddar.com.